you see any female comics comment section, लड़कियों को कॉमेडी करना ही नहीं चाहिए, इसीलिए तो लड़कियों को कॉमेडी नहीं करना चाहिए. अरे, I mean, not that none of them care.
Of course.
You know, they are there because they want to be who they are.
You know, up until recently at least, I've seen that there was a lot of reliance on profanities, kind of swearing a lot, on making very stereotypical jokes about men and women and relationships. Are we finally moving on from that, or is that still very trendy?
No, it is there, but also like what is the new twist you can add to the same thing is what will probably make things funny.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Iconic Women podcast. Mark Twain once said that humor is mankind's greatest blessing. But I can imagine that putting yourself out there as a comic is no easy task. My guest today, however, makes it look like absolute cakewalk. A stand-up comic and improviser, a digital content creator, and a radio jockey. She wears several hats with equal ease, and I guarantee that you're going to have several lol moments. So let's jump right in and discover what makes Sonu Venugopal so hilarious. Hi, Sonu.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Welcome to the Iconic Women podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Super looking forward to this conversation.
Same here, yeah.
So the last time we met was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
At TEDx.
Yeah.
So since then, what has the journey been like?
When we met last time, I was doing stand-up, but I did want to do stand-up across India in different cities. And because I'm a regional comic, right? I do my stand-up comedy in Kannada. There was this slight kid of doing it abroad also. Like, let's see how it goes. And that happened. So we had a show in London, Ireland and Birmingham in October. And now, like, suddenly now new things have opened up. So that's how the journey has been.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I'm excited, Yeah. I'm excited to try new things and see what works, what doesn't.
Awesome. But tell me something first. Yeah. What is it with engineers? And you're an engineer, right? By training. What is it with engineers who want to do everything but engineering? Like pranic healing, baking, stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
What is it with you guys?
I have always felt that being an engineer helps you to be very systematic and methodical with things. You do have a scientific bent of mind. You do have, how do I look at it differently? Or, and the crux of every engineer is jugaad, na? Matlab, if one thing is not there, how do you do with thing that is available to you? So I think that's also kind of engineering. And then engineering college stories make for great materials for stand-up.
Yeah, because that seems to be every engineer's favorite pivot.
Yeah.
Stand-up comedy.
Yeah. It's fun, na? I mean, the thing is that I was not very passionate about being an engineer, to be very honest. I would have been, working somewhere and have had a happy life also,
So why did you decide to study engineering?
Because I didn't know any better. I was not very clear as to what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And because I was good at studies, I'm like, sab log yahi kare to kar hi lete hain. Matlab, what am I going to lose?
Yeah.
Doctor, I didn't want to become. That I was very clear.
Were these the only two options? Because you have mentioned doctor and then you've compared that to engineering.
Being a lawyer was also an option for me. Because my mom was like, so much you argue with us, you become a lawyer. She used to say this, na? So I was like, but then what happened was after 10th, because I was inclined, I liked studying physics and maths. So I didn't think of considering arts. I don't think my parents would have had a problem with it or anything. But I don't know why I thought I'll be an engineer only. But then later I realized that nahi, ye to thoda is not fun as I thought. So I was like, okay, khatam kar lete hain, because I didn't want to drop out. Then that's a huge risk you're taking. And so I was like, we'll finish it, then we'll see what we'll do.
But if I can take you back a little bit,
Hmm.
what was childhood like? What was life like growing up? Where were you, by the way? Were you always in Bangalore?
No, I wasn't. I was born in Dharwad in North Karnataka. I grew up with my grandparents for first 5 years because my father had a transferable job and he was posted to a place that didn't have a CBSE school.
Mhm.
So my mom was like, state mein padegi to she'll. So I was a good student. So she's like, if she studies state syllabus, then to she will know that she's the best. So let us put her through some kind of grill. So CBSE.
Okay.
But I enjoyed. My childhood was very happy. I was a very bossy kid. I don't think I was a bully. I don't think so. But I was like, I'm very good. So don't mess with me. I was like that. But I was also very competitive. I was like, I want to be good at everything. Matlab, I knew I was so bad at sports, but it never stopped me from participating, Like, is but try kar hi lete hai. But then, later life happens. Then you know that you can't be good at everything. Then you have to select what you want to be good at. But I enjoy not being good at certain things also now. It doesn't stop me from
It's okay.
not enjoying. Yeah, it's okay.
And is sports one of those?
Yeah, of course. Sports is one of those. Dance is one of those. In my head, I think I'm like super dancer, okay? But I'm not.
Were you always, you said you were bold and you
Yeah.
said you were pretty fearless as
Yeah.
a kid.
Yeah.
Were you always confident? Did you grow up like a confident teenager, young adult, etc.?
Full confidence, okay,
Mhm.
till 12th standard. Full confidence. No, not till 12th. Actually, till 10th. 10th, so I was very confident. Then 11th, 12th. But I think what happened when I was in college was also a lot of how I felt about me. Because, that's the time when girls start dressing up. I didn't feel like dressing up, but I wanted boys to be crazy about me. You understand what I'm saying? You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? Very, very stupid thing to say, and it's not that I wanted to fall in, I just wanted to reject boys.
Okay.
I'm like, gee, you are not, how do you dare to even approach, like that I wanted to be. So that didn't happen. I was very upset. What is this? Yeah, not even one proposal is coming. What is this?
Yeah.
You
So I don't get to reject
I don't
them.
get to reject them only.
Yeah.
They're not even considering me. How
Yeah.
sad is that? So, but on the serious note, it happened. Like little confidence went low because results in my 12th grade were not as per what I thought. So, then you go downhill. Then, and also like, I showed a lot of promise as a teenager ki matlab she's going to do something crazy. Then I ended up doing engineering from a regular local college. It's like why how did why am I not able to that and this is so different. What I
Yeah.
imagined and what actually was happening was very different.
Sure.
So that also led to a little bit of low self-esteem, low self-confidence. Then I used to mask it very well.
Mhm.
But if I go back in time, though, I was very underconfident. I was those 4-5 years.
So what was your first job right out of engineering college?
That kind of helped me get me back to me, So what happened was I had gotten a job, but there was a 6-month break. So what do we do in these 6 months? I joined an NGO called Parikrama.
Mhm.
I joined as a teacher. So I used to teach kids who are like 10, 12. The day I went, kids already liked me. Like I had not even taken a class, they already liked me because I looked different from other teachers. I was not wearing like a salwar kameez or a sari, and I went in whatever, my jeans and boys t-shirt, and they were like, oh, like she's a teacher, like that. And then it was fun for me because I got to interact with kids from underprivileged backgrounds, and they had such a tough life, either their father was an alcoholic, mother
Yeah.
was in an abusive relationship, so many things, right? And they used to come so happy to school every day. So I went into that zone when I'm like, I have everything. Like, my parents have been so supportive. My
Yeah.
extended family is so, loving. I've got good friends. Why am I, feeling inadequate? I should feel happy. I should feel blessed that I have this life. So that was a game changer for me, I just became so positive and so confident, and I basically came back to who I was, minus the bossy thing, because now I was like, that's not a nice thing to be. So that changed my life a lot. And those kids I still like, thank those kids every day because something in me changed because of them. And I think that was the beginning to a lot of things that followed after that, for sure.
Were you always the kid that made your friends and family laugh?
I don't remember exactly, but I was always very observant of people around me and I used to mimic. And I had a very mean sense of humor. But back then, though, you can't think, I'll be a comedian. What was my reference? Johnny Lever was my reference.
Sure. And he was great.
He was great, but I didn't see any woman do it, na?
Yeah.
I used to enjoy Johnny Lever, but I never thought ki, this is what I will be doing, yeah? It's like...
No, I'm just asking because you said, like a good liar is also a good storyteller.
Of course.
And you're still a good storyteller.
Yeah.
So,
no, lying, that's what I'm saying. Like, it depends when you're lying.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Don't lie to your partners. Don't lie to your parents. Those are basic things.
Right. Okay.
And who cares?
Yeah. There's a lie and there's a lie.
There's a lie. Yes. There's a lie and there's a lie. Exactly.
But what I see today is a super confident person, not afraid to put herself out there. But you went through this stage of like having some kind of a confidence deficit, right?
Yeah.
So how did you bridge that? What was it that has put you here today?
I have to tell you this. Even when I started stand-up, a year before that, I was so scared to tell that I want to do stand-up. Because I was scared that people will say, "Arey, you want to do stand-up? Like, uske liye to bahut kaam karna padta hai, bahut likhna padta hai," and all of that. So I was like, whom do I tell? And the only person whom I had told that I want to be a stand-up comic was my husband. And from the time he got to know about it, he was always like, please go, open mic, yeah, do. He was at it.
Yeah.
And finally, somebody approached me saying, we are comedy producers. In fact, they still produce comedy. And one of them still works with me. They said, like, you should try. I'm like, okay, if somebody external who's not in love with me, like my husband is in love with me. So he'll say like, you can do anything. Yeah. But somebody is coming from a source that doesn't know me personally. They're like, you should try. I was like, okay, yes. If they are saying that I should try, I will try. So I started. And back then, like, I was not confident to go and like, put myself out there because at the end of the day, stand-up comedy is telling about your life. We are making fun of things that have happened to us.
Yeah.
So I was very underconfident. I used to walk on stage, but then I had learned the art of looking very confident.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But also there were other things that happened. Like I started doing improv that made me very comfortable with the stage. So that added. And then eventually with every show, the confident me started coming out. I was like, okay, I'm reaching there, I'm reaching there. And now finally, and this was something that I always desired, was that they say, any comic you ask, they say that, it's all about having fun on stage. And when they used to say that, I'm like, what is having fun? You're so stressed. You're worried if your jokes are going to work or not.
Yeah.
What is having fun on stage? After a very, very long time, I have started having fun on stage. I walk up like, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to have fun and it's going to translate with the audience as well. And then we both will have fun. So I don't walk on stage to impress them. I don't walk on stage to, do anything, but I just want to have fun. I want to have fun. I want to walk around. I want to talk to people. I want to try something new. Because, when you let yourself free, that's when magic happens. Initially, I used to be so scared to talk to people who are coming to my show, because I'm like, inse baat kar liya, to I will lose track of what I'm going to say. But now I'm like, I'm really enjoying it now.
You go with the flow.
I go with the flow. And also, I'm like, theek hai, ek joke kaam nahi kar liya, to what is going to happen? Who's going to die? Nobody, na? See, that's the worst. If it is a matter of somebody's life and death, then you can't do all this.
Yeah.
What is going to happen? They will say that, हाँ यार ये joke काम नहीं किया. Or the maximum, they'll say she's not so funny also. No, it doesn't matter. If you don't find me funny, it's okay, no problem. Yeah. Somebody will. And when nobody does, then we'll look for something else to do. No, that's what I'm saying. So now I'm like, I will have fun. That's the goal.
So what was it that first, like you said, that moment when you decided you wanted to be a stand-up comic?
Yeah.
So what was it that made you take that decision or like get that very strong feeling that this is what I want to do?
It started at a very, I'll tell you, it's a very random thing. There was a Zara sweater that I wanted.
Okay.
It was very expensive, okay? Then my husband, he like, blackmailed me. He's like, you go attend this open mic, this sweater I will buy.
Okay.
For that sweater, I wrote jokes and I went and performed. Then I was so scared, obviously, but people were very kind because they were like, she's doing it for the first time and she did it so well. So that was the thing.
So you wrote?
I wrote, yeah. We write jokes. You have to write jokes.
But how did you, when as someone who had never done this before, how did you go through that process of thinking it through, writing it / scripting it, and then kind of stringing those together and performing it?
It doesn't happen the first time.
Right.
You just write, you go with one random thing. Then after that, I started watching a lot of comedy. I started seeing what people's styles are. What are the things? How do they bring it together? I watched so much comedy, I can't even tell you, for almost like 1.5 years. Then I started writing. Obviously, now when I go back to my old jokes, I'm like, gee, what is this you have written? And that's how it should be, actually.
It should be, yeah.
So now it's like a constant process. It's a work in progress. Like, for example, I might get a premise as I'm speaking to you. I quickly go, I make a note of it. Then, wo rehta hai. It's always there at your in your RAM. Then whenever you find something else that might connect this, then you bring this out and you connect it. So it's a continuous process. And I wanted to reach that place where it becomes a norm. Where you don't sit, today I'm going to sit and write jokes. No,
yeah. It's
an everyday thing.
It just becomes part of who you are and how you live.
Yes. So I might just start writing when I'm in cab, going somewhere. I'll get some idea, I'll write. So it's a continuous process. You can't get a dedicated time. I will sit 2 to 4 and then I will write. No, it doesn't happen like that. Whenever it comes, you have to be ready. And now with technology, it's not like you need a pen and a paper. You can always quickly note down what you want to do or voice note yourself.
Yeah.
Or multiple ways of doing things. Like, for example, if I meet somebody who has a certain way of saying things, like somebody who is very even the simplest of the things they say, like, it happened, like today I made idli. It's a very simple thing, but they'll talk like that. But I will not put it like that. I'll put it with something that is even more absurd.
So some of it is observation and things that happen around you.
Yeah.
And some of it is memory, and then some of it is just kind of taking all of these things out of context and then making your own story out of that.
Yes. Like, so there's a lot of things going on in my head. So it's a mixture of everything. I don't like to put myself under pressure ki you have to think in this direction only. You cannot, it's not like a book, where you plan this whole thing. Things will start opening up as and when you write. And everybody has a premise, I feel. Like, you don't have to be a comic. You will have multiple instances, but then how do you make it funny? Then how do you make it to a level where the person who's listening to you feels that, yes, this is funny. Oh, yes, this has happened to me. Oh, yes, this is relatable. So there are various parameters. So you have to just let the thoughts flow first. Then see what happens.
Up until recently at least, I've seen that there was a lot of reliance on profanities, kind of swearing a lot, on making very stereotypical jokes about men and women and relationships. Are we finally moving on from that, or is that still very trendy?
No, it is there. But also, like, what is the new twist you can add to the same thing is what will probably make things funny. But I think being a stereotype is a starting point for other things. So hopefully we grow from that,
And are we?
Depends on the comic, na? I mean, I don't know. See, thinking of stereotypes is the lowest hanging fruit.
Right.
But to reach to the highest fruit, you have to start from low. So I think that's what I say. When I see my initial jokes, I'm like, not so good also. Now I'm happy with what I'm writing. But I think I hope that I'm not happy with what I've written this year, 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Because I'll feel that, I have evolved as a writer, as a comic. So profanity also, I don't know, man. I mean, if you are comfortable, if you're owning up to those cuss words, then I don't know. But if you are saying it just for the heck of it to make a statement, then
Yeah.
I don't know. There has to be a context. I don't enjoy talking about somebody talking about genitals on stage. Like it's not my type of comedy. But then beach me, if you're using some random cuss words and if it is helping you to say what you're trying to say, then I'm like, okay,
Sure.
yes, it's okay. But the best comics, they say don't use profanity.
Really?
Yeah. So there is an interview with Steve Martin, and he says that, every time you decide to use a cuss word, think if it is absolutely necessary. If it is not, then probably it is not the place for it.
Some comedians are great at working the crowd and kind of engaging the audience in that way. But is crowd work something that you do when your script runs a bit thin? Is some of it pre-planned? Is all of it improv? Like, how does it actually work?
So crowd work is always a hit and miss. Sometimes you strike gold. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Not always. And crowd work, if you take it out of context, it won't be funny at all. Like, for example, if you are part of the audience, you will have fun. But if I take the same clip and put it online, it won't be as funny as it was when you were performing.
Yeah.
It's a different form of art for sure. It does require you to think on your feet and then, be aware of things. Because, if you ask somebody, like, what do you do? Or he or she says something that is completely alien to you, you will still have to make something out of something that you don't know of. So it's a great skill for sure. A stand-up comedian actually is a writer first. These are the parallel formats that have developed over the years. So for me, crowd work is not like the purest form
Sure.
of stand-up. It is okay once in a while if you do it, and you have a reason to do it. Sometimes what happens, because crowd work kaam kar raha hai, people stop writing. That should not happen.
Right.
Parallelly, you're a writer, so keep writing and then see how you're good with crowd. But when I started doing crowd work shows, it actually helped me to break that ice with audience, because initially I used to just go on stage and perform and then come back. I never used to interact with the audience, because sometimes, your audience is a little active. They want to talk while you're performing. So you need to know, how to handle that, because you cannot, of course, insult them. That's not the nice thing to do. And also, crowd work also is like, are you insulting them or are you having fun with them? Again, two things. Because offense, everybody takes offense for something or the other, but just don't rub them off in a wrong way. Because if they've paid like whatever amount of money to watch you, not to come there and get insulted and feel shitty about their job, that's not. I can say shitty, right?
Of course.
Okay.
As long as you own it.
I am owning it, yeah.
Like up until the 90s, one always saw these comedians, right? Like in Bollywood films.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's the equivalent for like Tamil or Kannada cinema as well.
Yes.
And there was always, they had this, like there was even a special soundtrack when that comedian came on. And,
Yeah.
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 And suddenly I just see a huge dip in like a typical quote unquote stereotypical comedian in movies.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Because I think a single person, if you look at it realistically, can have other things also. Like if a stand-up comedian need not be funny all the time. There are times when we are talking serious things also, right? So I think if you're a person, then you will have all those qualities. And the more we are inching towards realistic storytelling and realism in films, I think that track of a comedy actor is like going. But having said that, if you see Rohit Shetty films, there is still somebody who is doing that comedy ka track and all of that. It's not completely gone, I think, in Kannada or Tamil films. There are still, they call me to be a comedy track actor now.
And I'm sure you get asked this one a lot, but is stand-up comedy still a man's world, or is that changing?
Traditionally, women never came out, na. But then if you see, who is more funny in your family? Is it the women or the men? I have to only seen grumpy men in my family. No, seriously. I have seen women with more colors and, with more, animated conversations and observation skills and all of that. So, because traditionally women were not like allowed to go out and speak, men took over. But now it's not the case. But then they always say like, women are never funny and all of that. I don't believe in that. Anybody can be funny.
Is that a stereotype?
It is a stereotype. It is a stereotype. You see any female comics comment section, लड़कियों को कॉमेडी करना ही नहीं चाहिए, इसीलिए तो लड़कियों को कॉमेडी नहीं करना चाहिए. अरे, I mean, not that none of them care.
Of course.
They are there because they want to be who they are. But I'm saying, like, so then why did men enter the cooking industry? That was our job, na? Why Sanjeev Kapoor became a household name? So I'm saying, like, these men can't claim all territories to be theirs. Okay, this is man's world. This is no. We'll figure out. Okay, I mean, I'm not saying that men are not funny at all. Of course, men are funny. Some men are funny. Some are not. Some women are funny. Some are not. That's fine. Stand-up comics are forward-thinking people. That's when their joke will work. They have to be different. That's when people would want to hear what they want to say. So within the community, you will not see men saying female comics are the male comics saying. No, you will not see that. You will definitely not see that. It's only the outer world. And who are these people? They don't have a worldview. That's what I'm saying. Na? You have never probably spoken to your mother. You've never seen the funny side of her, which is why you are saying this. So I don't go by man is funny, woman is funny. You're funny, you're funny. Anybody can be funny. But I don't know. I feel the pressure to look a certain way as a comic.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, why not? I mean, this is a very internal conversation sometimes happens, It's like, अरे वो मतलब इतनी funny नहीं है लेकिन cute है तो tickets बिक जाएं. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So it's like that. So now my thing is that the world knows I'm married. So वो desire, अभी now तो ना desirability is also gone. Because I'm not going to like date anybody or anything. So whatever it is, I have to make my jokes even more funny, na? I have that pressure because my cuteness is not going to lead anywhere. You will say I'm cute, but what will you do about it? I'm very happily married. I'm not going to go out for a coffee or anything. So I better make my jokes funny. I better, because I have no other distractions. But it kind of helps when they have a presence on stage. It's not just for women. For men also, when they walk, I'm not talking about how they look. It could be anything, But when you're on stage, presence is something that you need to work on. So, and that's something that you develop over the years, You start as dressing up a certain way. I dress up a certain way when I go for my shows, okay? I wear whatever, pants, t-shirt and like a jacket. Because I always feel like हाथ ऊपर कर लिया तो distraction shouldn't happen. Then when I did my show in London, I wore a short dress. I'm like, because foreign जाते ही ना, my confidence level goes so high. I'm like, I don't care. Nobody knows me here. I'll wear whatever I want. So I wore a very short dress. And my mom was like, are you going to wear this and go on stage? I was like, yeah, I'm going to wear this and go on stage. And I did the show. Nobody cared. I mean, like, but when I put it up on Instagram, they're like, why are you wearing this short dress and doing the show? This is the Indian audience. This is the Indian. वहाँ पे भी Indian ही है, but they are used to more legs than us. So then he's like, why are you wearing this dress and
were these men, women, or a mix?
I don't know. This is some mystic palette will be there. How I know what is I don't know the gender. But mostly it's a mix, yeah. It's a mix. Okay. I think women like when I dress up short. This is like, hum nahi pehen rahe, she's to wearing it on our behalf like that. But men are like, if you wear full dress, you will get more audience. Arey, I'm not dancing there, na. They have to listen to me. And what I wear that day is how I feel that day. So initially, I never used to think what I'm going to wear. I used to wear whatever and go. Then slowly I started developing a style. I was like, this is what I like doing. I like doing this. Let us try doing this and all of that. Now I'm like, I can wear anything and go on stage. So it's a progress. And I think men also go through that. There have been so many male comics who feel that women come to their shows because they're cute. It happens, yeah. I mean, let's be very honest. They say like beauty skin deep and all of that. Okay, maybe, but then what you look also people get attracted to, right? I mean, like if I say one Aditya Roy Kapoor, both of us will go, wow, he's so hot. It is like that. Now we don't care how skin deep is his beauty. What I'm seeing outside is nice, so I like him. So a lot of male comics also would go through it, like women are coming to look at us and not what we have to say. Yeah, nobody's listening to me. Only they're coming for my looks, my drop dead gorgeous looks. So I mean, everybody has a different journey. When I saw Ali Wong for the first time, I was like, wow. I want to watch her, not just listen to her. I want to watch her also. Like, latest there's this one comic called Zainab. Zainab, she released a stand-up special where she's wearing this red pantsuit. She's looking drop-dead gorgeous, okay? So, does it help? Yes, it does help.
Sure.
Veer Das is doing a tour where he's actually promoting local designers. So, wherever he's performing, he's asking the local designers to get in touch. So, I'll wear what you have designed. Why does he need to do it? Because it's part of the package. Everything is part of the package. A lot of people feel like, oh, Trevor Noah, so cute. Jokes kya bola, pata nahi. I just go to watch him. It's like that, na? So being presentable is always, it adds that extra edge.
You have taken Kannada comedy and you've made that your thing.
Yeah.
And you've taken it as of this year as of 2023 to an international stage,
Yeah.
right? So when you go out of India and you're doing Kannada stand-up over there,
Yes.
so what kind of audiences do those shows attract? And is it also necessarily only Kannada-speaking people? Or like you said, they don't even necessarily need to understand the language?
No, not like that. What I had in my audience was majorly Kannadigas. Hopefully we reach a stage where, they come. But then for that, it's a lot of work from my part. Because see, some language, as much as it unites people, it's also a barrier. We always see some international films, but we are always looking for that subtitle because the common language across the world is, of course, English. So I don't have that kind of audience who will just come and watch me. They have to understand what I'm speaking. We did a ticketed show in UK and we sold out. Itself means that there is an audience for every regional comic.
Yeah.
But then are you giving them are you giving them a good time worth the amount that you're charging them? Is it worth it for them to travel like 2 hours to come and see you? Because London is like a huge city and coming from one place to another can take you like hours together. So these are the things that you need to consider and work hard so that the package is great. What they see is like, yeah, this was worth my time. I would do this again. I would spend my money on this comic again. That's the challenge. But right now, as much as it is liberating for me to do Kannada comedy internationally, I know that it has a limited set of audience. I'm aware of it. But it's definitely not saturated. It's not that I'm not going to get new audience anymore. So it's a constant, struggle, strategy, work that goes in.
This might sound counterintuitive, but does one have to understand a language in order to watch and enjoy comedy in that language?
So I'll tell you something, okay? I recently did a show in Pune, okay? And in Pune, I had 3-4 people who did not understand Kannada as much. They were dragged by their friends, okay? And after the show got over, they were like, we loved it. So then that's a revelation for me. I assume that my audience will be Kannadigas mostly, which they are. But once in a while, there are people from different states coming in. Like, thank God for interstate marriages. Like, one of the spouses will get the other one, like, who does not understand Kannada at all.
Yeah.
So I had this one couple who were like, my husband is from Bihar, and we always go to these Hindi comics shows. And I was like, no, this time you have to watch a Kannada comic, and I got him. And then I'm asking him, like, how did you find the show? Honestly, tell me. Like, no, I enjoyed it a lot. So I think once you look beyond the language, then you may be able to find the humor. I don't know, because it's amazing, like, how you go to a place like Vienna and watch the opera and, like, without having any background, and here, like, array, I don't know if I know the language.
That's true.
Yeah. So give it a chance.
Yeah.
You can like it. You may not like it also, but that's okay. Give it a chance.
So you recently acted in Achar and Co.
Yeah.
Right. So what was your role all about? And do you think that movies could be one of your next big things?
I had seen Sindhu, the director of the film, who's now a very good friend of mine, in a couple of series, and I was like, oh. And then she, after my audition, she told me, so me and Kanan have written this film. I'm like, you and who? It's like Kanan Gill. I'm like, he's my most favorite comic. He's my most favorite comic, okay? You wake me up in the middle of the night and, like, ask me who's your favorite comic, it's going to be Kanan Gill. I love his writing. I love his quirk, his absurdness, his complete style I love. So she said, I have written this film with Kanan Gill. I was like, what? Then first question, if I do this film, will he come for the premiere? That was my first question, because I wanted to meet him.
So did the film bug kind of bite you with Achar and Co, or was it before that as well?
So I loved movies, okay? I have watched so many movies while growing up, because my father was a Bachchan fan. So every week one film we used to watch. And then I have loved Amitabh Bachchan, okay, because of my dad. Then I came into one Shah Rukh phase, where whatever Shah Rukh does, I love. I still love Shah Rukh Khan. I don't know if there is anybody better than him on screen. Like, dude, he's like 50 plus, and I feel like I want to fall in love with you. Like, every time he comes on screen, I don't know how he does that, So I love movies, but I never thought I'll be part of a film or whatever, But now more, I want to be a storyteller. So for that, if films is an avenue, then why not?
Sure. Yeah.
If a play is an avenue, why not? So I'm not restricting myself, but it's difficult to do a film without a godfather. Or I have to be very rich. I don't have both money or godfather.
You've become a rocking stand-up comic without a godfather. So then why can't you do a film without a godfather?
Because the scene was very nascent. Because there was nobody. When I started doing Kannada stand-up comedy, there were a couple of them, but they were very old school traditional comics who were not this format, likke, perform, open mic. No, I was the first one. Now I'm not going to be the first one writing for films, right? So it's a completely different ball game, man. You need to have somebody whom you know. Then you need to have somebody who you'll be like, yes, why not, like that. But I'm also very comfortable in my life now. I don't feel the need to do that. So we'll see. Maybe we'll have to take the long cut. Maybe we'll do smaller films. But that's also okay. I don't want to do aisa like 100 days successful, 100 days film. Aisa kuch nahi. I just want to do good films. As a writer, as an actor, as a director, whatever it is. It should be good. It should make an impact. Now when I go, like the other day when I was going to Bangkok, the immigration guy was like, hey, you're BBC from Achar and Co. I'm like, yeah. See, that's the impact I want to have.
So can you say a couple of lines from your role in Achar and Co?
I mean, so this is very fashion line, okay? I know it'll be of interest to you because you're also a stylist. So they are in this wedding and they see one of the girls wearing a sleeveless blouse. And I'll tell you a little backstory, okay? Like, what do we tell for a sleeveless blouse? Sleeveless is a very English word. We were not very sure if it was used in the 60s, 70s as sleeveless, So I remember my nani telling this, okay? And it is called tod harak, which means torn sleeves.
Mm.
So the thing is that, so she's watching this girl pass by wearing sleeveless and like, nodri akin hang tod harak blouse hakondra. Like, dekho how she's wearing the sleeveless blouse. And then, because I love wearing saris with sleeveless blouse, okay? It just gives me that little like some modern feel to an old garment kind of a thing. So when I wear sleeveless now, everybody's like, why you are wearing Tod Harak blouse? So I never thought that it'll become a catchphrase. So that,
But it has.
Yes, it has. Yes.
So before you got onto a formal stage and you started working and performing as a professional comic, right? How did you figure out if this was for you or not? Did you rehearse with like smaller sets of friends? What do you do to figure this out?
So there is something called open mics that happen in every city. In Bangalore also it happens, where you write 5 minutes, 6 minutes, you go and test. There nobody knows who's going to come. All great comics also, without announcing it, go to these rooms and perform. So you might bump into some very famous comic also when you're performing, because everybody wants to test. None of the comics will put up a show without testing.
And there's a live audience.
There is a live audience that might not have come to watch you, but might be surprised to see you. That possibility is there if you're slightly famous. But you go there, you try. There can be 2 people in the audience. There can be 3. There can be 5. Or there can be only comics who are trying material.
Okay.
So you go, you try. Then you ask for feedback. You ask them, like, what worked for you? You ask the comics.
Yeah.
What worked for you? What didn't work for you? What didn't land? Then there are some comics who will help you, like, why don't you think like this? Or why don't you add this to it? So it's a very collaborative effort. At the same time, it is very single-handedly done. So now what has happened is with Kannada scene, abhi there are open mics that are happening. But there is no way you ideally should go on stage without testing it. So you can call it a tester show and do a tester show, but never walk on the stage with big audience without testing a joke. And
without testing a joke.
A joke. And audience, I mean, it can't be tested in front of your parents, and because they love you. They're like, acha, very good, very good. Then it's not like objective. You need to test it in front of people who don't give a shit about you. And then if they find it funny, then you're like, it's working. So that's again, I'm doing some tester shows now with the next material, which I will not announce. Just go. So that I don't have the pressure ki, oh, people are going to come and watch me, now I better be funny. Because you have to give yourself that chance to falter also. No matter how big a comic you are, there will be some of your jokes that will not work.
So open mics are sort of like the scratch work that comics do?
Yes. But there is also another way of putting a tester show with limited tickets. Say I'm going to do only 10 tickets for the show today and keep it at odd hours when you will not have too many people. Just like somebody walking by will be like, acha, chalo, nikal. So, you have to understand, because that is an audience that is very hard to please. They have not come to watch you. They didn't have anything else, so they have come.
Yeah.
So you better make it work. Then that's a very objective feedback that you get.
I have this one irrational fear on behalf of stand-up comics, is that what if this person goes on the stage and cracks a few jokes and nobody laughs?
You remember there was this Friends reunion and Matthew Perry said that, it used to kill me when my lines didn't work.
Right.
It's the same feeling. But you can't, no, I'll go now. You can't do that also. It will kill you. It will kill you. You will be like, shit, I don't see light at the end of the tunnel.
Does this happen to everybody?
Yes, of course. Of course it does. But what I've realized is that addressing to the fact that it is making you uncomfortable is a very nice, vulnerable thing to do on stage. I sometimes touch wood, it has not happened recently, but it will happen in future where people won't laugh.
Even to a seasoned comic.
But then when you're a seasoned comic, they're also like, there comes they come with a certain thing, na? That ye hai to funny hai. You understand what I mean? That's the whole thing. So probably a seasoned comic might not experience it as frequently, but they would have had experienced a fair share of nobody laughing in the audience. Yeah, it's very scary. It's very scary.
What do you do to come back?
Consider it a bad day. Go back home.
How do you end your show, I mean?
how do you end your show? It depends how you're feeling, man. How you're feeling that day. But of course, try to not be unprofessional. Keep mic nikas niche fek ke you go. That all I won't do. But I show it on my face that I'm upset. I can't hide it.
And does that make it worse for you?
No, I address. If I'm feeling shitty, I will address to it. I'll crib, I'll cry, I'll go home, I'll be like, you know, ye kya ho gaya? It's the end. When I think all sorts of negative things for 2 days, and then you're like, okay, let me come up with something that's better than,
Sure.
you know, it's like anything, na?
Yeah. Who is the woman who inspires you? She could be from history, she could be contemporary, she could be from the ancient world, but she has to be a real woman, not a
Not like Yash
mythical
Chopra's
figure.
Maya from Dil To Pagal Hai.
No, not that.
Not that.
Like a real person.
Real person, I see. Of course, you know, my great grandmother is one of the most amazing women I have met. Her name was Indira Bai, and obviously born before the independence. She passed away when I was in 10th standard. So I've seen a fair share of her. Such a strong woman, okay, like amazing she was. And there is this tradition in certain households where once your husband passes away, you tonsure. And you try to make yourself look ugly. You know, you don't put yourself as an attractive woman because your husband is not there anymore. I have seen her only like that, you know. But her core was like so strong, you know. So I always felt that she was a woman ahead of her time. And when I was young, I read this story about Anandi Gopal, okay? And of course, you know, like she was the first female doctor of India. But what was more inspiring was hers was a child marriage.
Right.
She was married to a man who was much older than her.
Which was the norm in
Which was the norm.
19th century.
And, you know, her husband had a dream for her that she should become a doctor. You know, as a child, you are so careless and free-spirited and you don't want to study. And she exhibits all those characteristics, but he's like, you know, constantly, you can't waste time, you have to study, you have to become this and all of that. And then she finds a pen pal with a woman who lives abroad, and they keep exchanging, you know, sending letters to each other. And then their friendship reaches a point where they're like, you know, we should gift each other something that we have so that we know how we look, because there were no photographs back then. So this lady, I think she was in the US, or I'm not too sure, she sends a bit of her hair through post. And she says, I want to see your hair too. Why don't you send it to me? And she says that in Indian custom, women don't cut our hair. So I think she ends up sending something. She goes, she becomes a doctor, but she dies early because
Very
of
early, 22, I think.
Yes, of a terminally ill disease. But I'm just saying that, you know, back in the day when women were not even allowed to think, there was a woman who did this. You know, for me, it is just so inspiring, because now though we are privileged. You know, the fact that I'm talking to you here is a testimony to the fact that I have had a privileged upbringing. But think of those women who don't have, and they are actually inspiring because they beat the odds. I have not done anything. For me, everything was given in a platter. And I don't even think I'm like changing the society in any way. But these are the women who have become history and who are so inspiring. And
absolutely.
So I feel that, you know, when you are doing something against the odds, that's when you become inspiring. So
she was incredible.
Like how
very fearless. I mean, to go and to live in the United States, and this is like in the 1880s.
Yes.
Before that, she had lost a child.
Yes, that too. And we have to emphasize on what a man can do to a woman. You know, of course, you know, we talk about women supporting women, but a man's support back then, now, is humongous. You know, you have to have a man who has a bigger vision for you. I think that is such a blessing. Who make sure that you don't stop, who's like, you know, bas itna hi, you can do more.
Amazing, yeah.
You know?
I think not only he didn't really let go, but I think Gopal Rao, he made it all happen, right?
Yes, you know, sometimes their vision for you is something that not you have imagined for yourself. But, and the fact that she also, like, you know, agreed to do, she had the same dream. I don't know if she, after such mein doctor banna chahti, don't know,
We
but
don't
he
know.
had that
Yeah,
dream for her.
yeah.
And she created history, right? So it's amazing. It's amazing. And we need such men at all, in all times.
So as you know, on this podcast, we dress up our guest as the woman that they mention, you know, that we speak about and that they admire. So that's going to be the next thing, Sonu. I hope you're ready.
I'm ready. But now I'm thinking I should have said Sushmita Sen from Mahuna. Now I'm thinking little glamorous photo shoot I would have had.
No, this will be a
also very
glamorous photo shoot, but in a different kind of way.
In a
This is
different kind of.
1885.
No, but I'm very, very excited for this.
Let's do this.
Sonu said that her iconic woman is Anandibai Joshi. I was particularly excited because as part of Iconic Women Project, Anandibai Joshi is someone I have depicted before, and I feel very close to her story, and you know, it's an amazing story of achievement. So the way I went about the styling is to recreate this very simple elegance that she would portray and carry. I hope it's kind of got that timelessness that the original picture had.
Thank you so much for
My
coming on this
pleasure.
podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I hope that you have many, many episodes with more iconic women.